So, some of you people may have noticed is that when I did the Damien Void video and if he was in Black Clover, I completely neglected the Lucifero arc. Oh, Lucifer. Yeah, I think it's Lucifero. Probably? Yeah, Lucifero. So, yeah, I'm also making a better version with it. So, literally, it would all be the same thing until the Dante fight. Except Damien just waits for Asta and Yami's chance to grow and doesn't interfere with the fight this time. Then Zenon takes Dante away and Yami away. Then that's when Damien kind of takes action and pretends he just got there after a mission, which technically is true, he just got there way earlier. And after the other members telling him what happened, he pretends he can't use space magic and can't just sense where they are and kill them all. And it would all be the same thing, just quicker because of his teleportation magic. Teleportation ability. So, oh, he also still goes through the 5th class ritual. But just know, I'm lowballing his power by a lot. Second step into divinity means nothing here. Okay, so let's just say a 5th class is too powerful for this world. Because of this, the world itself, including some parts of the universe around the world, and the mana in the world, subconsciously or consciously, holds his power down. However, this doesn't really affect his magic power limit. So, he has an infinite amount of it being connected to the void, so... So, basically what would happen is that we get a training arc with Asta, all of the Black Clover members, including Damien, training. Asta physical strength, mainly, and this is because anti-magic's real weakness is physical attacks. And since he doesn't have true Devil Union, he won't be able to have a constant anti-magic barrier around his body, which is what they tried to do in this and kind of do it. Thing is, it's a lot weaker than the one with the true Devil Union. So, yeah. Damien trained with sword skills and water. I'm serious. I really don't know what to do with that. Because currently, I'm just gonna say he put his water in such a path. It can also affect ice. And also has some abilities of the moon attribute and even the ice attribute. So, it's kind of 3 attributes put into one. It's just mainly focused on water. He can also control the moon and ice, though. It's always an option. Just most likely isn't going to use it that much. Also, this is now him after absorbing the stone from the heavenly vine. Meaning, his Samsara abilities are way stronger, and hopefully he'll be able to use it. If I can think of more ways you can actually use death mana, other than this death blast or insta kill. And the sea god must have been really comprehensive if he could really comprehend death. seriously. I mean, if he could do this much, I'm really, really surprised he didn't get the Samsara attribute. Really am. But anyways, after this small training arc, the Lucifero arc happens. Just so to people who don't know what this training arc is, I mean, it does actually happen in the series with Asta just training until he can unlock Devil Union with Libe. So yeah, the series is mainly focused on that, well, and also training anti-magic. However, Damien with Void Mono would also help with this, increasing his anti-magic potency by leaps and bounds. Which is also the only reason he can make up that anti-magic physical barrier. So yeah, any attacks that are meant to increase physical power and land on him, they won't affect him very much. Unless they're like supreme devils or like high-ranking devils. Or if they're just stronger than him. Or if they have more magic power, potency, or mana potency than his current anti-magic could actually hold. So yeah. Sword trading, level trends. What happens after this though, I really have no flipping idea. I don't really watch my clover. Well, read. I know the newer chapters, but so we are just gonna skip to one. So let's say Damien, Asta, and all of the Black Clover members go to the, I think it was the Spade Kingdom, if I'm correct. Let's go to the Spade Kingdom raid arc, and we can just skip to when the gates to hell are opening. Well, not actually open, so yeah, the devil hosts don't gain their power, and everyone goes in teams from the Black Clover, and practically all the teams except Noel, the other person, and Damien is added. So basically, when they're looking around and going around to the massive underground, I'm pretty sure it's underground, I have no idea, place that they're in, they find Magikila. I think that's her name. Definitely not the devil's. I might be wrong. I really don't care. That's what I'm gonna call her. And the fight commences, except Damien joins in. Damien is mostly using his gravity manipulation to pressure Magikila, making sure that she can't use her curse warding or blood magic as easily. Especially blood magic. I mean, how the heck are you gonna affect curses with gravity? How the heck are you gonna do that? Let's be honest. Curses are non-physical things. They're non-physical, meaning gravity doesn't affect them. So all you can really do is affect blood magic, which is a liquid, so practically every time Magikila tries to use blood magic spells like Red Beast, they would get dissolved because of the increasing gravity put on her and her magic spells. Which is why she's focusing most of her curse warding magic spells on Damien to try and limit how much gravity he can actually put onto her magic spells and herself, which is very much limiting her agility and spells. I mean, not saying she can't get at least 1 to 4 spells out. Gravity manipulation, by that I mean gravity pressure, is very much not omnipotent. It still follows the laws of gravity, meaning unless you were to gain such thing as a gravity laws or element, you wouldn't really be able to use it to its full potential, since it's kind of just an extension of space, and that extension of space comes from vectors, meaning it's pretty far away from his space attribute, meaning it's pretty weak compared to his other abilities. Void Sword Art, Dimensional Severance. Well, Void Sword Art 5th form, Dimensional Severance. Sorry for not clarifying. Basically, just so you know, Void Sword Art's 5th form, Dimensional Severance, is basically Bladeless. And Bladeless is covering your sword in dimensions or space and slashing down, which I don't know how, but makes a giant crater in the ground. It also ignores distance as well. But how the crater gets there, I have no idea. Ask the author. I mean, I thought it was from the space element, but how does that make sense? It should still follow the laws of space. Also, this became very much stronger because of the trait he got, Embodiment of the Void, and his 5th class, Devouring Void deity. Because of this, he got as close to space as he ever has. Because of this, he can easily hide through dimensions and space, even in space is where space isn't really there. Meaning not all of his abilities would follow the laws of space entirely anymore. So, yeah. This also means that this attack is drastically has had a boosted power, since it focuses on going into the layers of space. Dimensional Severance, however, is just really the same thing. Except instead of trying to make a giant crater into the ground, you add the concept of dimensional slashing into it. So you can make a black line from your slash, which cuts through dimensions. Back to the fight. Magic Hero barely manages to dodge and substitutes it with one of her spells, making sure that it can't continue to go for her. However, Damien and Noelle are already aiming at her. However, then, crack, boom. Magic Hero's magic power bursts upwards as the gates of hell open. And she uses a spell called Curse Warding Space Tower, based off of how Damien could use his space abilities, which shocked him, especially since Curse Warding Space Tower doesn't really follow the laws of space. Basically, it's a tower made out of curses. Some curses don't follow the laws of space-time and other things, like reality included. These curses can go to immortality, to practically anything else. What? And it also continuously draws in mana from the air and other living beings. However, it doesn't draw in life force like as his mom did. Like, Lucida's mom did. Lucida did. So, it's kind of like a lower version of that. Also, anytime she goes into the tower, she can return magic power. She can have a refill in mana, and even sometimes an increase in magic power if strong beings are nearby. However, if the mana is too much, then the power would overload. But because Damien's power is being significantly sealed by some parts of the universe and an entire world, even though he has bounded some, the tower isn't imploding. Matter of fact, he would probably have to use all of his mana. And by that, I mean all of his mana to make it implode. And he might not be able to regenerate it in time. It would mainly have to focus on... Oh, wait. Void mana exists. So, let's just pretend he can't really do that because the world and some parts of the universes are preventing his mana storage from accessing the void. Meaning, can't really do that anymore. So, yeah, he just dashes. And Magicula along some bursts of teleportation. Void Sword Art. Second form. Horizon Break. Basically, he pierced out Mirage, which flowed into the spatial layers and ignored distance, trying to pierce a hole somewhere in Magicula, which by that, I mean her legs. And it also almost hits. However, another feature of the curse warding space tower is that Magicula can somewhat sense space-related abilities, attacks, space mana, only somewhat. And because Damien's power is being heavily resistanted, this also falls into the range of what Magicula can sense. So yeah, it's a very massive debuff for how long he's in the world. After that, Noelle gets some action being in her Saint stage. Piercing her water spear at Magicula, who is also having a very hard time. Very hard. Gets stabbed. However, if you know what happened to Aesir, you know what's about to happen to her. Curse warding magic. She goes to the 5th page in her book, second grimoire, and almost says the spell's name. But suddenly, Void Sword Art. 7th form. Void. Yes, Void has been completed very early, I know, but I mean, let's just call it Abyss, actually. Saving Void for later. Yeah. But suddenly, the whole area turned null. No one had access to their mana because of this final Saint stage was dispersed. Also because of this, the grimoires in the area immediately closed, and any spell that was also caught in the range of Abyss was also dispersed. Meaning Damien was the only one who could actually use his spells. Or skills, to be honest. The only thing he couldn't actually do was that he couldn't strengthen his body with mana, and he couldn't use any of his bloodline transforming abilities. since those used mana as an energy fuel, which, so basically, he doesn't have access to any of his transformations. However, he uses this chance since Abyss only lasts for 5 seconds currently. So he has to take this chance since he probably won't get another one. Especially since after this, Magicula might expect this combo later. Void Sword Art, third form. Dance of the Void! He flickered out of reality and appeared in seemingly multiple places at once with hazy figures. They all slashed down at Magicula. He was just barely dodging the attacks. 3 more seconds. Damien thought in his head as he continued slashing, cutting Magicula multiple times. 1 second. Void Sword Art, 5th form. Dimensional Severance. A black line appeared. However, it couldn't be actually seen since the entire area was void other than the figures of the people there and the items they might have been holding, along with the grimoires. However, Magicula could barely sense it and just barely managed to dodge. Abyss disappeared, and Noelle immediately went into her final saint stage again. Water creation magic. See dragons roar. Water creation magic. See dragons roar. Suddenly she put her hand up and a dragon made out of water escaped from it. Magicula just barely managed to dodge, though. Celestial Authority. Starfall! You could see a meteorite appear in the air, and it was then slammed down, aiming for Magicula only. An entire meteorite? A damn meteorite? This is so exciting! Magicula somehow thought. What magic? Crimson Shield of Hades. The meteorite slammed into her. However, a few seconds before it could, a gigantic crimson shield on the same size as the meteor shielded her. Yeah. As the meteor slammed into the shield, both of them shook until the meteorite and the shield as well cracked, and both got obliterated. However, the Crimson Shield got destroyed first because it was entirely made out of blood mana and magic. So it didn't necessarily have any form. 7 stars encircling the moon. Curse warning creation magic. Soul Dragon Curse. By now, Magicola's devil had practically already told her about Dragoon, which is why she made up a spell for it during the midst of battle. Basically, Soul Dragon's curse made it so that no fire-related abilities could be used until the caster died or ran out of mana. It also made it so that if someone was related to a dragon in any way, like bloodline or a dragon-like being once their devil host, they would have a significant decrease in power. Its form was a purple flame with a few runes around it. And Damien, hearing the name Soul Dragon's curse, immediately wanted to dodge it since he literally had dragon's bloodline. So how would it affect him? He did not know, but he did not want to try it. He covered himself with void mana and enhanced himself with natural mana to make sure he could dodge it. The flame then took form as a giant serpent with wings and it launched at him, seemingly having auto-target. Time to test my new attack. Anti-dimensional Void Slash. With the anti-dimensional part, you might think that it was black. However, with the void part, you would probably still think that it was black. However, this slash was actually white. And it was a slash that defied the laws of reality, having a similar feature to what Demon Slasher, the fourth sword of Asta, could do. It could choose what it wanted to actually hurt, and it had a gigantic range. However, the Soul Dragon just evaded it and continued rushing towards Damien. However, the slash kept on going towards Magicula, who actually immediately dodged it. And Damien, who did not want to waste his mana on keeping the slash going, immediately dissipated it while dodging the Soul Dragon. He then generated a ball of void mana and condensed it to make a perfect spear. After that, he launched the perfect spear of condensed void mana at the Soul Dragon, who just dissipated parts of his body, and the ball fell through it. After that, Damien went into his dragon form, hoping that his devour flames could devour the Soul Dragon. However, it just faded through them and entered his body. And he felt like all of his flame-related abilities, and even his body, since he had dragon DNA, was weakened immensely by 5 times. He lost 5 times the power. So he just decided to not care. He covered his body with mana, wood force, and void mana, making sure that nothing could get through it. Celestial Authority. Behemoth of Space. A dragon seemingly made out of space mana, and possibly even some strands of wood force and time mana appeared in front of him. However, it couldn't be some normal dragon. It was a gigantic behemoth. Just ignore that. This behemoth, which eventually consumed him, and was also see-through, you could see him at the middle of the behemoth. And just so you know, the behemoth was made out of space mana, world force, of the space elements, and some strands of time mana in it as well. And along with that, it also had the power of celestial authority. So you may be thinking, hey, shouldn't he not be able to use celestial authority in the first place since this world isn't bound to him? No. Celestial authority is just a set of abilities that are powered by world force, and are just strongest in a world that he has bounded. Meaning it isn't limited to that. However, this dragon was a fusion of practically two forms of mana, one form of world force. Along with that, it was powered by the authority of a celestial. Making it count in the celestial authority moveset because of it having the power of a celestial's authority inside of it. Celestial authority, Starfall, plus Behemoth of Space equals celestial authority, Meteorite Behemoth. The gigantic behemoth opened its mouth, and gigantic swirls of world force and space mana appeared, forming a gigantic meteorite. And it was launched, moving at the speed of light itself. Getting to Magic Kila in a second. 100%! Magic Kila then changed into a new form. 100% possession, which she hadn't been using for some reason. At most, she had been using 80%. With 100% possession, Magic Kila's Devil, which I'm also going to be calling Magic Kila, because I really do not know their name, unless Magic Kila is actually their name. Magic Kila then used other Magic Kila as a host so that she could transform 50% of manifested power outside of Magic Kila's body, while also absorbing it to strengthen her even more. With this, if she were also to put out the other 50% manifested power, along with some extra power, she would be stronger than ever before. However, that was for later, after she destroyed these two insolent beings. Also, totally, I forgot to mention that like 3 other people were also there. I've just been focusing on the Magic Kila fight, but Lightning Mage, Water Mage, and the captain of... I really don't know how I'm forgetting these names, though. I really just have that terrible memory of Black Clover. I've literally seen the MMV like 3 times. Basically, Damien uses an overdrive void mana, getting rid of that curse, which was lowering his power by 5 times. Because of this, he could fight at full power again, and his mana would force and void mana's potency and quantity increased again. Well, increased back to their original form.